Hi guys, welcome back to Bunny Brick Design. So we're going to be finishing this today in this video. So I've already put some thread on my needle. It's about 2 wingspans wide, and I've put a stopper bead. I just took any bead just so I could have a stopper bead. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to go down through any bead. It doesn't matter where I'm going to start. I'm going to go down through a bead and pull my thread, and then I'm going to come up through the bead next to it. Now I'm not going through the fabric, I'm not doing anything, so we're embellishing. So I just needed a stopper bead because when we get back around here, we're going to tie off and do some stuff. So I'm going to take some 11/0s, and I'm going to start with 3. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a just a border around. I'm going to be covering my thread, so it's just going to be a border. So I've got 3 beads on my thread, and I'm going to go down through the next bead and see if that's, if I need to go 3 beads, 5 beads, however many beads. Be careful of having knots in your thread with this amount of thread. So that looks like 3 beads should be good enough. I'm going to come back up through the the first bead, and then I'm going to go through all 3 of these beads again. And actually, I'm going to go through 2. I'm going to skip the first one, just so that we're doing the standard 2 beads. And yes, your threads will get tangled to begin with. That's why we have a stop bead. Now I'm going to pick up, so I picked up 3. So now I'm going to pick up 2 more and see if 2 more will get me to the next bead. So I'm using 11/0 bronze. And so what I want to do is just add an additional layer of beads here. And 2 will get me to the center of that bead. Now I'm not touching the fabric. I am just going through the beads and adding, and then coming back up through that bead. So it's just going to form this little extra layer of beads, and I'm going to go through 2 beads, or actually, yeah, through 2 beads. And so that's just going to form a nice additional layer of beads on the top. So it's going to hide all of these holes. And it's just going to make this a little bit wider here so that when we put on our beads, when we do our necklace part, it's just going to have a little bit extra. So I'm going to go around. I'm going to pause you. I'm going to go around and do some. And then when we get to these points where... So these 3 points, instead of just doing the standard going around, I added a picot stitch. So I'm going to show you how we do those. So I'm going to get around to there, and then I will be back. All right, guys. So I've gone around. So I started here. I've gone all the way around. And as you can see, it adds a little bit extra beads to it. So I'm up to my first point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out, I'm going to pick up 2 seed beads and just see if that's going to get me to that point. And that should get me right to the point. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go pass through that picot at the tip, because what I want this picot to be is I want it to be open enough that when I go to put, maybe a drop or a dangle or something on there. So I was thinking, maybe having that attached to it, and having these drop from here. Maybe I may just do the center one. So we're going to pick up a couple more seed beads. So we're not going to do our usual pass through. We're just going to go through that bead, pick up a couple more seed beads, and go through the next bead. Actually, we're gonna go through the next bead. And then we are going to do an extra stitch. So I'm going to go up through the bead on the other side of that picot. So as you can see, we went down through this bead right here. So this bead right here, I'm coming up through this bead, and I'm going to go through all of those beads again. So that's going through 5 beads to get me set up to the next point. Now, that rounds off that point a little bit, and which is making me wonder if I need to picot that. So I am just going to do this one more time. I'm going to go down through, and I'm going to add a picot there. So what that means is I am going to go back up through and get set up. So I'm going to pass through 3 beads, which is going to be that big 8-0. I'm going to pick up a 11-0. I'm going to pick up another 8-0, and I'm going to pick up another 11-0, and I'm going to go back through this and form a picot. I'm not going to go all the way through all the beads just yet because I want to see what this looks like as I spill all my beads. And I like that. And so now I'm going to go back through that. And then back through that big bead. And then through those 2 beads to get us set up for our next set of and make sure you don't snag like I just did, and you really can't see that. There is a thread that is snagged around the entire thing. So be very careful of that. There we go. Pull that nice and tight. So that makes it a nice point, and I've got my point there if I want to pick up a drop, do a dangle, do something. And so I'm just going to clean up some of these beads real quick. Just so I don't lose them all over the floor. And these little spoons, I don't know where I got them. I know I have them. They were in my kitchen. I never use them. I think I got it with an espresso set that I no longer have. So, and we can use these. So I just use them. It's great for scooping beads. All right, so now we're just going to continue on. And I've been doing 2 or 3 beads depending on the distance between them. And some of these beads are not uniform size. Unfortunately, that happens with the smaller beads. So we're just going to go back down through. And we're going to continue on doing that all the way around. And back up through that. And then through 2. So I've been doing 3 to 4 depending on where I've been at. Sometimes 2 because of the spacing. So I'm going to pick up 4 to start because I think 4 is going to get me to the next bead I want to go down through. So I'm actually skipping. So when I'm doing it, I'm skipping this bead, going through that bead. Oops, wrong way. That's what I get for talking and not paying attention. There we go. So I'm skipping this bead right here, going down through this bead. And then coming up through the bead before it. And then going through 2. So sometimes I only need 3, sometimes I need 4, depending on the width of the beads. So, and again, I don't want these points to be perfectly square. I wanted this to be organic. So I like the fact that this point kind of curves there just a little bit and does that. So now that makes it look really like an organic leaf shape. And the back, you can see the beautiful beading on the back. So I'm going to continue around, and when I get done, I'll show you how to finish this. So I will be right back. All right, guys, I'm back up to the point. So I'm going to do this point a little different. I'm going to pick up 1 seed bead just to see how close I get to that. And that actually is perfect. So instead of doing, going back through, I'm going to pick up the 1 seed bead. I'm going to pick up a seed bead, an 8-0 and an 11-0. So 11-0, 8-0, 11-0. I'm going to pass back through the point, and I'm going to do my picot first. Just so that I don't have to go back so many times. And I'm going to go back through that 8-0. And so now I've made my picot, and I am going to go and pick up 1 11-0 and go down through that bead, and I am going to pass through that just because I want this anchored really well. And then I'm going to go back through my 3 beads in my and then I'm just going to give that a good nice tight pull, and then I'm going to pick up my beads and continue on. So I'm going to start out with 3 and see if that gets me to the next bead. And it does. So I'm going to go down through that bead. Trying not to go through the felt. Go back up through the bead before it. And then go through my 2 beads. All right. Oops. Sorry about hitting the camera mount. And then I am going to continue on. I know this is going to be a little floppy, and that's fine. We can stiffen that up later. Also, this is going to have, I'm going to have a dangle on there, so that will tighten that up and make it so that it's not going to go anywhere. So there's my sharp points on my leaf. I'm really loving this organic design. I can't wait to finish this. So I'm going to finish up going around, and then I will show you how to finish off up here, and then we will get to adding our necklace portion. So I'm probably going to add just to give you guys an idea, and I don't know what beads I'm going to put where, but I'm going to add some beads there and maybe some beads off of here to go up, and these are going to go up and form a necklace. So I'm going to continue on, and I will meet you back. All right, guys, I'm up to the last few stitches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull off my stopper bead. I really don't need that at this point. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up a couple more beads. I want to get through these next 2 few beads. And because I'm on an in curve, I pick up less beads just because, as you can see, that got me right over to where I needed to be, come out. So what's going to happen is you're going to be coming out, and I'm trying not to get snagged on everything here. You're going to come out and you're going to be right next to where you need to go down. And so I'm coming out, and let me not snag that thread. I'm just going to hold this. So now I'm coming out here, and my next set would go down through here. And I need to come up through there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up my 2 beads. I am going to go down through that one. So I'm going to try to keep it from snagging. I'm going to go down through this one and back up. Right? So I'm coming out. And as you can see, I still have a gap, which is fine. We're going to fix that here in a second. And I'm going to go through my 2 beads like I would normally do. And now I'm coming out at the same spot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly tie a knot. And I'm going to do 3 turns there. Now I still have more beading to do, so we're not done knotting. I just wanted to get a good knot there. So now I'm going to pick up probably 2 seed beads. And instead of going back down through, actually I'm going to need 3. And instead of going back down through the bead, I'm going to go through the beads right here. So I'm going to go through at least a couple just to get it pulled tight. And as you can see, it made a nice point there. And now I'm just going to go through several more beads. And then I am, and try not to snag it here, and then I am going to tie another knot. So that's just making a loop, going through your loop once, and then pulling it tight. And then I'm going to pass through some more beads. And we're going to do this a couple of times, just to make sure we've got this nice and tight and knotted really well. So there's 2. Knots, and now I'm going to go through a bunch of beads, because at this point 2 knots on that for those 2 beads plus the one with the surgeon's knot, we're pretty good to go. Now I'm going to cut this off, and now I'm going to thread this side, which is why I left a long enough tail that I could thread onto the needle, if I can see the needle. I'm going to do this under my magnifier. And actually that needs trimmed. I need to trim the end because it's frayed a little bit. So there we go. Well, that didn't do so well. We'll see if we can get this on the needle. Come on. There we go. All right, so it's not very long because I had to cut it. It broke. So you may want to have a longer thread. And then I'm just going to thread this through a bunch of beads. And I don't know if I'm going to have enough to make a knot. No. So I'm just going to snip it there. I may put some glue on that just because it broke. So the thread broke. It's what I get for not having a long enough tail. So leave yourself a good amount of space for the tail. So now we've got this finished, and there's my points. That looks very good. So now we've got to decide. We've got to design and decide what we're going to do for beading. So now I can take regular jewelry thread and thread it through there. And I'm debating whether I want to do just a and have something like this here with maybe something like that on each side coming out of those beads. So I'm going to grab some, I don't know if I have copper. I have so I'm going to grab some gold beadalon, satin gold, and give Bunny a cookie because she's bugging me. And I'm going to give that to her. So now we have two choices. I can actually go through the beads here, go through a few beads, or I could sew on jump rings, which I think I'm going to go through. I'm just going to grab a length of beadalon here because I don't know exactly what I want to do for a necklace. And I think what I want to do is I do want to go through some beads. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can snag this up through a bead on this point here. And so I did. Although I am debating if that's going to be strong enough. We are going to... What do I want to do? I do want them coming off of this point. So maybe we'll do two strands. And if... I wonder if I can come out that bead. So what I'm going to try to do here is yeah, that's not going to work. Decisions. So I just don't want it to be just on that bead because I'm afraid that bead will break. So what I may do is I may go through all of those threads. Ow. As I just break nails. Those are really stiff jump rings. Very stiff jump rings. I don't know if that's good or bad. All right. Okay, so there's one on there. And then we're going to take, what size was that? That was a fairly decent size one. So we're going to take this jump ring and put it on the other side. I'm going to try to get it on this other side. Okay. There we go. That one's a little sturdier, which is fine. And that's closed. So now I have 2 jump rings on there. So now I'm ready to thread. So what I'm going to do is I am going to thread on a couple of bronze beads here, 8/0s, because I don't want the wire to be on that jump ring. So what I want to do is be able to have these beads sit inside that jump ring. So I am going to put a bead stopper on this side, and then we're going to go through the jump ring, and I'm going to pick up one of the greens, one of the big stones, and then one of the greens, and see if that's enough to get me through to the other side, along with 2 of these 8/0s. And that one's got to get tightened just a little bit more, because that one's slightly off center there. Ooh, these things are stiff. There we go. It's about as good as it's going to get, but so I'm hoping those seed beads make the world of difference. So, all right, so we're going to put 3 seed beads on each side. Now we need to decide what we're going to do for a pattern, because this is going to be the connection. And so that's where it's going to hang on the neckline there. And so that's perfect. So there's my connection. So now let's see what we want to do. That looks really pretty. I can't wait to see. So we've got our focal, and I'm going to bring over my beads here and set everything aside. So we've got our focal. So now we need to determine what we're going to do for that edge. And so I was thinking I do want to use some of these square beads. So maybe we do square with those on either side. So let's add that and see what that looks like. And again, make sure if you're working on one side, make sure you have a bead stopper of some sort on the other side, so that way if you pull, so I think I'm going to go with this and this and this. And I know it's mixing metals, so like this bronze is not the same color as the brown bronze, but that's fine. I do like that. Okay. And now I'm going to pick up, I think, one of these green beads and see what that looks like. I like that. And then I think one of these spacers. See what that looks like. I like that. And then one of the light greens. So we're bringing in a light green. And then another one of these. So we're going to do a pattern. And then a darker green. And then, so now we've got that, which I like. And now we're going to do a bead cap. We're going to do one of these. I think we're going to go with, I like that. I think we're going to go with a round, maybe. So we'll do another bead cap, a jumbo round, a bead cap. So we're just going to do that as a pattern. I want to see what this looks like. A square. Actually, we'll do a gray square. And then another bead cap. Oh, I like that. I really like that. And then we'll do the green. So green, spacer, light green, spacer, dark green. And so far I need 4 dark greens. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just going to make sure I have enough beads. And then I'm going to do the other side. And then we'll see how that looks. I really like that. I think that's going to be fun. And then we will put some more bronze beads in. So let's see. We've got bead cap. Hopefully I have enough of these bead caps. Bead cap. Square. I'm going to use the greener square. Bead cap. Dark green. We'll just take one of my dark greens here. Spacer. Dark green. Oops, light green. Spacer. Dark green. I really like this. This is going to be gorgeous bead cap. Dark green. Spacer. And it was funny, I was looking at these spacers when we first got them, and while they're cool looking, I wasn't quite sure how they were going to work with these beads. And now that I'm putting them on this, I absolutely love these spacers. They're just fabulous. I'm throwing beads, and I missed that one. I didn't catch it in time. And dark green. And then we're going to do bead cap. Brown. Bead cap. Big bead. Ooh, I put that on backwards. It's the other thing you have to make sure of when you're using these bead caps, that you're putting them on in the right direction. Big bead. Bead cap. We'll use one of the grayer ones. And then bead cap. And then dark green. spacer, light green, and spacer and dark green, and we'll see how long that is. Oh, I absolutely love this. So I'm just going to, oopsie, I made a boo-boo and I didn't even notice. So I'm gonna have to take this off and redo it because I missed doing it this way. I was gonna say, I knew that it seemed like there was something amiss, but that's okay. We will get it. Because I was going to say, that side seemed longer. Bead cap. It's what I get for not paying attention to what I'm doing. Or just going and beating and beating and beating and just being like, yeah, I like it. I like it. I'm getting way too excited about this at this point. I think that's the problem. I know we're going to have to do another set, but oh, I really like that. That is going to look fabulous. I'm debating whether I want to attach something here and go up, but I think I just like it with the one necklace. All right, so we're going to have to see if we can do another set of the beads. And so what I'm going to do is see if we've got enough to do. So I want to do another set of this at least. I want to see if we have enough for that. So I have a brown one there. I don't think I have another brownish one. I think they're just grayish. That's the brownest, most brownest one I have. So I guess we'll go with the grays. And then well, that one's not red enough. There we go. And then we'll need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't think I'm going to have enough for that. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, maybe 6, 7, 8. Maybe. All right, let's try it. So we have bead cap, gray, bead cap, big bead. I'm really hoping I have enough that I can just fill in the back end with some of the smaller beads and seed beads, and it'll look good. So there's that. And then we're going to do, let's see, I need 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've got that. So we've got green bead, spacer, green bead, spacer, dark green bead. That works. All right, I'm going to clip this side off. I'm going to go work on the other side. And then, so this one we're going to have spacer, square, spacer, round bead, spacer, oops, put it on the right way. And sorry, my camera is, if I'm off camera, I'm just threading beads here. Oh, I really like this. This is going to be so much fun. All right, so now we're up to that. So that is a nice long necklace. I am going to grab this. I just want to see how much more I'm going to need. So I need probably 2 or 3 more inches. So what I'm going to do at this point is I am going to put on let's see, we got 1 green there, 1 green there, and I think we've got 1 more green there. Oh, we've got enough. 1 green there. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fill in with, don't throw spacers. Ooh, I'm dropping spacers, and I lost that one. Well, hopefully we have enough without it. So I'm just going to go dark green, light green for a couple, and then we're going to see how much that goes in. So I need 2 for that side, so that's 1, 2. And then there's 3 for that, because I think we're going to end up with there's that. There's a light green. And so I need 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. There's that. There's that. And I think this is perfect. I think with a I think with the clasp and everything, I think that'll be long enough. So let's see. Let's grab these beads back here. And we have dark green, so we'll put a spacer on. A light green. A spacer. A dark green. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. A spacer. A light green. My last spacer, which is, well, I've got 2 more in here, but spacer and dark green. And that is perfect. So that is a beautifully perfect necklace. So now I am going to grab some crimp beads. And because this is very heavy, I'm going to use my Wire Guardians instead of doing my regular crimp. Those are all gunmetal. Do I not have bronze? I don't have bronze crimp beads. Darn. Do I have antique copper crimp beads? I don't. Oh no. Well, I guess we're going with the standard crimp covers because I don't have any. I do not have any bronze crimp. I do have clamshells that came with the kit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use their clamshells and some gunmetal crimp beads here. Those are big. I don't want those. use these. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to double up on crimp beads. So I'm going to show you why I'm doing this, because this is quite heavy. And this necklace, I want it to last. So I'm going to put on a crimp cover. I'm going to put on the clamshell. And then I'm going to put on a crimp bead. And then I'm going to put on a second crimp bead. And the reason for that, and you're going to see here in a minute, oopsie, if I don't throw crimp beads all over the place. And these are, whoops, I'm throwing crimp beads all over the place. These are quite big crimp beads. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I am going to, and I'm going to show you here, and I don't need to do this way down there in the middle. I'm just going to do it here on the end. I'm going to skip the first crimp bead. I'm going to pass through the second crimp bead. So this is going to be like a stopper bead. And then I'm just going to pull me a little bit of a tail. I'm going to turn, it doesn't really matter which direction you turn that crimp bead, sideways or whatnot. I'm just going to crimp this guy flat as I can get it. And then I'm going to crimp that guy as well. And we are going to stick him in the clamshell. That is, if I can get it through the hole. There we go. And we're going to pull that. Now, it's going to be tight in there. And you may want to use smaller. I'm going to use smaller crimp beads just because that one's too big. I'm going to cut that. So I do have smaller crimp beads. We'll use those. There we go. So I'm going to use 2 of these, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to just fold it over and go through. So that's going to create a little loop there. Oops, flat pliers. And yeah, I've got a long tail, but that's fine. So now I have 2 crimps on there. That's not going anywhere. And also that'll help, it'll help secure your work. I'm going to grab some E6000. And that's the thing. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want it super secure. I don't want to run the risk of having, extra glue. I don't want to run the risk of having this come apart when somebody's wearing it, because these beads are very heavy. So I just crimped that with my hand. I've got glue all over my fingers, but E6000's easy to clean up, unlike super glue. And now I am going to just pass some of these beads through both wires, and then I will cut off here in a minute, and then we'll go do the other side. So that works. And I'm just going to snip that. All right, it doesn't want to snip. There we go. So I snipped that. Now we're going to go do the other side. And so what you want to make sure you're going to do is, especially with these seed beads in there, you need to make sure this is tight so that those seed beads sit really close together. Because I don't want, I really don't want my jump rings going through to the wire. So now I'm going to do the same thing, and pass it back down through, and then we'll start pulling tight. And one of the things you can do to make sure that it's tight is just pull on that thread. And just keep pulling, pulling, pulling. I've got a gap there I don't want. And so if you can't get it to pull tight, loosen it up. So what I can do is I can just pull on this wire, get that bottom crimp bead down as low as I need it to go. Because see, here's the little trick, is if I need to, I can pull on that wire, get this down, get it down, get it down, get it down. Now it's nice, it's mostly nice and tight. I'm going to crimp both of them. And so then that should be nice and tight. I'm going to add some glue, and then I'm going to pass through some beads. And being a new tube, it oozes. I hate new tubes of E6000 because it does ooze a lot. Now I'm just going to pass through several of these before come on. There we go. And then I'm just going to snip that there and make sure it's tucked in. And we are now done. Now I'm going to see, oh my God, that's perfect. All right, so now we're going to add our clasp. And I'm going to grab some, I'm going to just move those crimp beads out of the way. I'm going to grab a bronze clasp. And do I have any bronze chain? Did they come? It did come with it. All right, so the kit came with bronze chain. So and actually that's not going to work because I need extender chain. I always like to add extender chains to my jewelry, just because it's, you know, if somebody wants to wear it a little lower than what is there, you know, they can. And I just like the option and making sure my jump ring, that spring's a little better, so I'm going to go with that one. All right. I'm loving this, guys. So I don't know what's going on with my camera mount, but it keeps moving here. Let me adjust. For some reason, it just keeps wanting to tilt. There we go. So now, jump ring. I'm going to use this lobster claw because it was better. And I'm going to add that to this side. Now, I really don't need the super glue or the glue in here. I just add that just for my peace of mind, for additional security. You don't have to. And I don't know what's going on there. So we're going to get a different chain. There we go. That one looks better. I think this one's just not like, I don't know, it just like snagged on itself or something, or these jump rings are a little easier to work with. There we go. And there we go. So now I'm going to put this on a mannequin, and we are going to take a look at how it hangs. Let me grab my necklace. And, ooh, that wasn't together. All right, so there you go, guys. That's what it's going to look like. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. So as you can see, it's going to hang nice around the neck, and this will curl if you want it to. I really like this chain. I really like this necklace. And I mean, I'm so happy with this. So there you go. That was the leafy landscape, and we did a leaf. So anyways, let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.